What's up, Mr. Page? This is my Middle Ages project, and yeah, I'm happy to show this to you. Alright, so this is the little fief I made. So we walk in, we got nice paved path. Not paved, but just dirt, because they were pretty broke back then. So, right here's one peasant house. This right here is the other peasant house, and we kind of just have those scattered about. Now, over here, though, this is where the blacksmith is. You can see he's kind of got a nice sort of wood frame sort of house, because he was probably the richest in the poor section. So this is like the poor peasants lay down here. As you can see, there's hay over their roofs because they couldn't really afford much. But this is the blacksmith, and right here is the knight's house. Again, just broke that block. That doesn't matter. The knight was also pretty rich because he was the one that just went to battle, and it was either the king's son or just someone of upper class. Now, over here is the blacksmith's area. Now, over here is where he does all of his, like, fixing up on armors. As you can see, we have some chainmail that he's working on, helping the knight out over there and his buddies. But we got some lava for him, and we got an anvil to re-enchant stuff or just fix stuff. Now, if we go up here, this is the church. Now, everyone had, like, a little church in their building, or their fief, just so they can worship Christianity, because God was their main form of religion. They couldn't really believe anything else, so that was pretty much that. So as you can see, we have a little stained glass, but the church was the nicest building so far. So over here, also, I forgot to mention, we have a well. Of course, they have to get food or water somewhere, and we have animals because, let's be honest, they probably weren't the most cleanly, and they chuck feces on the ground, which is what this dirt is, and they have like rocks everywhere, so they could like get like a lot of trouble pretty much. So not the most cleanly town. You wouldn't want to live here. I for sure wouldn't, but yeah. Let's go check out the landlord's house though. Okay, so we're at the landlord's house now, and as you can see, it's overlooking the fief because he was the richest person in this whole fief. This is the guy that kind of ran the whole show. So you can see he has nice paved tile walls for his house, a nice fastened roof, along with good sturdy wooden planks. Now, if we walk in also, he is also rich because he has carpet. No one else in that village had carpet down there. We also have a set of what you call a fireplace, which resembled him being rich, and we had a sofa. No one really had the luxury of having carpet, a fireplace, maybe the blacksmith or the knight, just because everyone was poor and they mainly just worked as farmers, which we're gonna go to the farm right now. So if you were a peasant, you really did get the short end of the straw because A, you didn't get paid much at all, or if any, and B, you had to be in the farms all day, and C, you had to live with animals in your own filth and feces, which was disgusting. Now, this is the farm. We're growing melons, potatoes, wheat for bread, and we have a crop open. Now, if you do remember teaching us in class, they developed a system where you leave the crop non-planted. That's just because it'll help aerate the crop. So for next season, the wheat will rotate to the potato section, the potatoes will rotate to the melon section, and the melons will rotate to the non-planted section, and the non-planted section will now become the wheat section. This just gives like some time for a crop to sort of air out and kind of just get its nutrients back. Because if you plant a bunch of crops, all that nutrients will get sucked out. And if you keep doing that, it's not really good for the soil and you won't be able to grow anything after a period of time. Over here, we have the mill. Nothing too crazy. This is kind of where they store their food. I sort of just made it like a staircase up, but we could store food in here, hay stacks, hay bales, all that stuff. So yeah, this was sort of the poor peasant section. Of course, the landlord was really rich and had a lot of control over this fief. He kept his peasants here and not safe necessarily. I mean, they could probably die at any point in time and get replaced. But he did want them to stay here, and they could run away, but he would catch them for sure. Like you said, it's 365 and 1 day. So 1 year and 1 day for a peasant to be free if they run away. But this fief, not the cleanliest, not the neatest, but to me, this is my accurate representation of what a fief would look like back in the Middle Ages. Let's go check out my church now. All right, Mr. Page. So the first one, I wanted you to guess what kind of church this is. So this is the first church, and I'll give you a second, just look at it, sort of. I'll go around it real quick too, just so you can get a good glimpse at it. But this church, there's arches. Obviously, you know what this is. I mean, you're the history teacher, you're the mastermind here. But This is my Romanesque church. Now, I think I accurately represented this because I have arches surrounding the whole thing. It was more of a rounded church. So we have rounded windows, we have rounded arches, support beams, and we just kind of have rounded roofs as well. You can see it's not tall and spiky as well. It's more rounded towards the top, and the roof, again, is super rounded. They didn't have any stained glass either. They did have normal glass, but it wasn't stained glass, that's for sure. But if you walk in here, this is the Romanesque church. There we go. Jeez, man. Over here, you can see we have circular support beams. We have rounded support beams because that's what they relied off of since this church was Romanesque. Now we have chandeliers as well, just for lighting purposes. And over here is where the pastor or whoever's leading this church would give the sermon and basically kind of just teach people what there is to know about what there is to know about Christianity, because that was the main religion they celebrated back then or worshipped. Here's a better look at the church during daytime. This way you can just see it better. I just think it looks cooler during nighttime. So here's the Romanesque one. Inside still looks the same. Without further ado, I've showed it in the background a couple of times. Let's go to my Gothic church. Of course, we just ran to the Romanesque one, so now we are at the Gothic one. Now, this one did take a little bit more time because of the shapes and patterns it requires, but overall, this one was more fun to build, in my opinion. So let's take a detour. We can see that it is nice and spiky. There's no round edges, sort of. It's more pointed and jagged because Romanesque ones were rounded and Gothic ones were non-rounded. So if we come over here, we can see they have stained glass. Now, Gothic churches did specialize in stained glass because that's just kind of what they did. So yeah, if you look at like Notre Dame, this stained glass is like sort of there in Notre Dame, but yeah, it's pretty dope. Now, over here, we have some more stained glass. We'll go in there in a sec. More stained glass. And the roof, I forgot to showcase the roof. So just to get that kind of jagged, sort of sharp edged roof. And yeah, it's awesome. It's pretty cool. As you can see, we have a lot of towers here as well. And they did make their churches in a cross shape. The Romanesque one I did not do, but the Gothic one I sure as heck did, because that's just kind of how they designed the Gothic one more than the Romanesque one. Now, upon entering, you will be greeted with red carpet and a nice entrance, pretty much. Nice big entrance. You can see we have arches that are pointed, not rounded. They are pointed because it's a Gothic church. You can see this on this side too. It was also more of a dark colored church. I remember you saying Notre Dame used to be white, but now it's sort of it was dark, but now it's sort of a whiter color after rebuilding it. So I decided to go with the more darker color scheme using stone or dark stone, all that kind of stuff. But we have red carpet here. And again, we have the different sort of stained glass windows because that's what the Gothic church really just did. They did a lot of stained glass stuff. So again, more stained glass. Everything is pretty symmetrical for windows. Now over here, again, is where the pastor or whoever's leading this church will give the sermon. We have the biggest stained glass window right here with a cross in it, and we have little ones surrounding it, just due to them loving stained glass. And over here is my Gothic church. So here's what that looks like during the daytime. And the inside is still the same. Now, those were my two churches. Hopefully you enjoyed those two because I spent a lot of time on those. But now let's go see my 3 out of 5 C's for history. All right, and we are at my 3 of 5 C's for history. And starting off, we have the first one, the church. Now, the church just played a very crucial role in the Middle Ages, just leading people to Christianity and their religion. So this was like a place they could go and worship and stuff. And everyone loved it because, you know, a lot of people were poor back then and didn't really have much. So the church was like a safe place that they could go and worship. And like, you might get killed if you don't believe in Christianity, but that's the next thing. Like I said, the next thing is the Crusades. Now, the Crusades was the sort of battles fought between the Europeans and Christians, and they would kind of just kill each other. So we can see this is a person pushing off, let's just say, a European off a cliff, pretty much. So This is the person falling. I didn't make the cliff deep, like low enough, but that's okay. Now we have the Charlemagne. Now, the Charlemagne was known as Charles the Great and was the most powerful medieval ruler or Middle Ages ruler of the time, who lived from, I think it's 740 something to 800 AD. And he just became the strongest leader, and everyone kind of revolved around him. And yeah, it could have been like a Holy Roman Emperor, or it could have been the unifier of Europe. Basically, someone that just sort of unified the Middle Ages, or their set of not houses, but their like civilization. So that's my history project. Hopefully you enjoyed everything. I spent a lot of time on this and I put a lot of thought and effort into it. But thank you for watching, Mr. Page. Do me a favor, give me a good grade. No, I'm just playing. Do it. Do you think is fair? But appreciate you for watching, man. And I'll see you later, dude.